and nature retreats for children and getting them out in nature. And I just called my son last week and I said, you must come and go on a kayak ride with my friend Kelly Daniels. Stay at her beautiful home, she's invited you, and go see the 17 deer that her son saw last week, and the beaver, and the beautiful koi fish that was under the boat. Huh? You must do this, sweetheart. Nature, vitamin D. Huh? We teach getting angry, yes? More of that wonderful energy. And, excuse me, we teach anger, and she teaches vitamin D, right? Vitamins and nature and emotions, and we don't have any kids on antidepressant anymore. We have such a gift waiting to be given to the world. And I'm so grateful that our angels brought us all together. One more hand for Helen. Just tell you the story of Jesse. He was one fight away from getting kicked out. And Gross High School, that's the name of the school, called me in and said, please help him. We've tried meds, we've tried anger management classes, nothing's working. So I took a risk. What's that decision-making formula again? If I had no fear. I took a risk to work with Jesse, and the first thing I asked Jesse was highway number 1, and I said, Jesse, what is your dream? And he told me, and he said, nobody's ever asked me that before. I said, I apologize. We just haven't understood the importance before. And he told me that dream, and then I said, wow, you took a risk meeting with me because people have been putting you through the ringer trying to fix your problem, and you could have given up by now, but here you are sitting with me. I just got to tell you, this is what the happiest, healthiest, most successful people do. You're right up there, buddy. He said, thanks. Third question I asked, the full responsibility question. So I'm just curious, Jesse, why are we here? And he could have BC'd, yes? He could have BC'd and blamed everybody else for why he was in this mess. But instead he said, we're here because I just don't know how to quit fighting. Wow, you just admitted you're the problem, buddy. You know what that means? You're also the what? And he said, the answer, the solution. I said, you got it. So this is great. So I only have one more question. Who taught you not to, just our guests now, just our guests. If he's stuck in rage, what was my question? Who taught you not to cry? The answer was a 5-minute story that had us both in tears. And at the end he said, so I just can't cry. And I said, oh, I've got good news. That water on your cheeks, those are tears. You can cry. And the lightning's not striking us, and nobody's judging us, and here we are both crying. This is your key to freedom. This is the key to putting out that raging forest fire inside you. And we hugged, and here's the good news. He never fought again. Let's have a hand for Jesse. It's beautiful how all these highways work together. I don't feel like I wrote this program. I feel like I downloaded it. And I'm so grateful for all the people that will be sharing it. Sometimes you have to step back and look at the bigger picture. So the story I'm going to tell is of the woman who said, my father-in-law drinks like a fish. I do not use alcohol. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that. And I simply said to her, so what do you use? I've never met a non-addict in my life. I can't imagine that I ever will. And what I mean by that is, what do you use to run from? Name 5 things besides drugs and alcohol that we use to run from, please. Food. Keep going. Anger. Keep going. Drama. There you go. Work.
Busyness.
Credit cards. Busyness. Volunteering at church. Exercise, sleep, television, chocolate. It's a long list, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Shopping.
So the woman came up and this is another one. My brother-in-law spends money like it's water. I'm very thrifty. You should see my bank account. I said, I don't need to see your bank account. I'm just curious, is he spending your money or his money? Well, his money. I said, then why does that bother you so much? Well, it's very irresponsible. And I said, are you ever irresponsible? I try not to be. Now, I'm going to not say the words, I'm just going to show you the body language. Ready? What is she doing?
Denying.
She's hiding, isn't she? She wants to step away so I don't see what's in her heart. Could I see the hands of anybody in here who might be a little irresponsible? Please. Okay, thank you. And as soon as we admit we're a little irresponsible, we become more what? Isn't that fun? How many times are we told in this culture not to express our feelings? So one of my teachers had someone who asked a question, and she said, what do I do with my raging teenager? And she said, honor and emulate him, because he's doing the anger you wish you could do. She said, what? I don't get angry. She goes, you don't get angry at his anger? Oh yeah, I get angry at that. So once he starts raging and you realize how angry you are at his raging, you could just be right there stomping along with him. And she goes, yeah, I could. And she started to cry, and she goes, that would be really freeing. Wow. Huh? Wow. So it's powerful stuff. And we're not assuming that you're getting it all today, nor are we assuming that we've gotten it all, which is why we allow these trainers to return again and again, and we have people come back 10 and 15 times to trainings to get that next understanding of this. But we have a book list if anybody wants a book list of stuff that this is all based on. We'd love to share that with you. Cool. Any other comments or questions before we move on?
Are there other emotions that you can suppress that cause depression? Like, is it anger that you're suppressing?
Let me give you one other example. Yes, depression is anger turned inward is one of those clinical things. Those two are connected, right? That really, they are connected. They are the yin and the yang of each other. But let me use the example of lust. This guy goes, emotions aren't all good. You can't say all emotions are good. And I go, yeah, I can. He goes, no, you can't. What about lust? And I said to the group I was speaking to, anybody ever been attracted to somebody they weren't married to? Could I see your hands, please? Okay, so what is lust is shooting on that, and Rand's going, don't ask me to do that. Do not ask me to do that.
Not even married at all.
And she could raise her hand too, Rand. And so here's the deal, Here's the deal. When you suppress that, is when it becomes, right? It's just admitting. Now, why do you think you're sexually attracted to someone? Because they have what you want, Sam and Helen. I was told I couldn't feel. I found a great feeler. That sounds kind of dirty. But you getting this? I swear my dad at the altar said to my mom, I'll do all the anger if you'll do all the crying. Okay. And unfortunately, it turned into a great dysfunction. My sister says that he hit her. I don't remember that part, but he could have, because the emotional abuse was so bad. And she'd cry more, and he'd get angry, and she'd cry more, and she'd get angry. And okay, that's what's okay. And then I got healthy. And then I worked this process. And then they separated, because they said, you got happy, come on, we deserve it now, and this is all in the book. And what happened while they were apart? She figured out she had a brain. He figured out he had a heart. She started feeling her what? Anger. He started feeling his what?
Sadness.
Oh yeah, he'd cry. I just want to tell you how much I love you, honey. And I'm going, Dad. Well, hi, Dad. Good to talk to you. And all that healing story is in that first book. Yes. Okay. And he's been living in his what? Right or left brain? Left brain. Okay. And so all of the 8 highways are taking us to the right brain. It's the only side of the brain you can be happy in. Okay. It is. All the bullying stuff, all the worry, all the doubt, all the regret, that's all left brain stuff. Okay? So right brain is where it's happening, and we're starting to understand that. The book's now A Whole New Mind. It says that the most successful businesses 10 years from now will all be right brain, because if left brain can do it, so can a computer, and so can a person from another country for $3 an hour. So that's one of the reasons. But mostly, we're going to the right brain because we're realizing life is to be lived, to have joy, and joy can only happen in that side of the brain. So Sam is just beautifully opening up. So I don't know if you heard what he said. I want to listen to you, he said. I don't know how. And that's what I just want to show you in just a couple of minutes here. So if you'll turn to Highway 5, I'm just going to talk you real quickly through. 85% of our communication is listening. But instead of listening, we get defensive, was there some defensiveness going on in their argument? On both their parts, yeah, defending. So what happens often is when people want to be heard, and Helen, that was all she wanted to be, was just listen to me, hear my emotions, right? But often when we say, when we want to be heard, instead of sharing our feelings, I feel really scared and sad and mad right now. Ooh, that's not politically correct. So what do we say? You always interrupt me. You never listen to me. You always blame me. Is that true that Sam always blames her? Yes or no? It's not true. So Sam checks out in the book, but what do a lot of husbands or wives do?
Withdraw.
Yes, or get defensive. I'm sorry, I don't always interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you yesterday. I didn't interrupt you last Tuesday. I'm not always late. I wasn't late picking you up last night from the. I'm not right, okay? And so what happens is this person's giving feelings, and we counter with what? Facts. We go into our head, which is which side of our brain? Left. They give us more what? Feelings. Right brain. We counteract with what? Okay? And they have to get louder and louder and louder. And finally, the person goes, why am I even talking to you? You never listen. They go, what do you mean never listen? I tell you every word you said, but what weren't they listening to? Feelings. Okay? So Helen is now working with Sam, and Sam is even considering coming to a training. What a sweetheart. And teaching him that the skills she wants him to use. Would you just stand, Helen? In fact, come up here, sweetheart. So I'm going to be the new Sam. Okay? We're going to be driving along, and I'll drive this time, okay? Okay. So she's talking, and she's going to say you, and just nail whatever you want to, nail Sam, and I'm going to use these skills. And by the way, they can be used in a car or over the phone or wherever.
So okay? You're Sam, I'm Helen?
I'm Sam, yes, and you're just going to accuse me and say you never, you always, or whatever, okay?
You just never listen to me, and you just don't care about me, and you just don't appreciate me. You never appreciate me.
I'm listening, honey, go on. Now, wait a minute. Is that the last thing you want to say to her is, I'm listening, honey, go on, right? And yet, when you defend and say that's not true, why are you even saying that, right? She shuts down, it's just World War III. So that's the first answer, okay? When people use the answer to number 3 is, you always, you never, you are such a. When people use number 3, you're going to go to number 4. You never, you always, you are such a. Those are the signs that she's raging. And by the way, with rage, she's not angry, she's raging. And so if there's alcohol and violence involved, get yourself to safety. But in a regular, normal, this happens, right? Situation. And she goes, you always, you never. And you know she's exaggerating like that. Now you know she's enraged. So you get to say, go on, honey, I'm listening. Really, I'm listening. I want to hear this.
That's exactly what happened last Sunday. He was giving me facts. I said, why are you arguing with me? And I said, I know I'm not supposed to say all the time, every time, but that's how I feel. I would say you always.
Thank you, thank you. And that was how she felt. Okay? Okay, so can you imagine if Sam would say this instead? Go on, honey, I'm listening, go on. Well, you never, keep going.
You just never really care about me. All you care is about your job, and you don't even have time to talk to me. When I talk to you, you just ignore me.
Okay, so what's going to happen? She's very good at this. What's going to happen is she's going to be angry, and he's listening, right? He's listening. Okay, why is she angry? Because she feels what again? Disrespected. Is he being respectful? Yes. What's going to happen is eventually this is going to start to decrease. Eventually she's going to start calming down because the reason she's angry, he isn't there anymore. I'm angry, you don't respect me, and here he is respecting her. So eventually, it might take 5-10 minutes, but eventually, even Helen will calm down. and he will say the second step now. You can't do the second step until they start to do this decline thing. And then you get to say, you have every right to every one of your feelings. That's the second answer for validate. You have every right to every one of your feelings. Now the question I'm going to ask all of you after you write that. You have every right to every one of your feelings. My question is that true? Do we have a right to every one of our feelings? Yes. Yes. Okay? So you're not agreeing with the facts because her facts, quite frankly, are wrong. And so we like to say, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Because if you'd rather be right, go into the facts battle, and you might win the battle, but you'll lose the what? The war. Okay? So instead you say, go on, I'm listening, and when they start to calm down, you have every right to every one of your feelings. Honey, that is so valid. I hear you. You're right. I'm so sorry. I do that sometimes. Go on. And then eventually, when you say you have a right to every one of your feelings and she's really angry, what's she going to start feeling?
Sad.
Sad. So this is exactly. And then he gets to pull over and comfort her. And this has happened with me dozens of times in my life, that this fight with my sister or my boyfriend or my son or whoever it is, we start like this, and when I use the skill it ends like this, that I am comforting them, because quite frankly I wasn't really the problem. This gentleman's he graduated as a trainer 2.5 years ago. They've been sharing gratitudes with their group every day, 7 days a week. We don't recommend that, but they did it. And so one of the things I say now that I didn't used to say was, share those gratitudes. Find somebody, it might be your spouse, might be your best friend, might be your sister, find somebody, might be your coworkers, to do those gratitudes with, because oh my gosh, then you not only get the high of the gratitude, but you get this loving community. And these people are from 7 states, this particular training group, and they say they're closer to each other than most of their friends. So here's his today. Grateful for making the first payment on my new home, and that was his dream when he was with us, that he wanted to buy a farm. Grateful that the tractor tire could be fixed rather than replaced. Grateful for all the positive energy that shows up in my inbox every day from all of you. Powerful stuff. My sister's migraines stopped. My girlfriend's marriage was healed. My son's father found the job. My cousin got married at 44 to a gentleman who also had never been married. And they'd both kind of given up. And how did it all start? It had to start with gratitude, because I couldn't even dream with them until I got them off the floor of 5, right? So, 2 last stories. Ryan comes to me because his mom said, "Do you work with young adults? I love it." Good. And she sends the moppy-haired little guy with the big tennis shoes to my door, and I go, "You're the one who got yourself in trouble with all those drugs? Goodness gracious." That's what I'm thinking. "Come in, Ryan," I said. It really was Ryan. And he sat down and I said, "Welcome." I didn't say, "What's your problem?" I said, "What's your dream?" And he goes, "I don't know." And I said, "Oh, okay, so we have to start with gratitudes now." I said, "That's okay, we can start with something else. What are some things you're grateful for?" And he couldn't think of anything, literally. So I took him to the door and I said, "That tree, I mean, 3 things we could be grateful for if we wanted to be about that tree." "Well, it's given the birds a place to live, and it's given us shade, and I guess it's cleaning the air." And I go, yeah, it is, cool. So I'm going to stop our session today, and I'm going to ask you to go home and write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. Every day? New things? You got to be kidding me. Fast forward to 2.5 years later, I was asked to be the keynote speaker for the Nebraska Coaches Association, which is a little bit of a miracle since I've never played a sport. But anyway, 2,500 coaches in that auditorium, and who did I take with me? Ryan. And he got up in front of the coaches and he said, "Almost 3 years ago, I couldn't think of 3 things I was grateful for. And today I can't think of 3 things I'm not." It's a pretty powerful experience. But that's only one Ryan story. I've asked him just to share a few minutes with us. Ryan spoke at my request to a group of high school students in Louisville that I still have the video of, and truly changed so many lives that day. So please welcome our Ryan Schmidt.
Well, I'm Ryan Schmidt, and thank you for having me out here. I wasn't prepared to speak, but once I get over the first little bit of emotion, I could probably, I'll do the Toastmasters thing. So, all right, Helen. So I'll find a member of the audience that really I can speak to. Anyway, I met Mary Kay after I was released from prison. I did 3.5 years in prison. Got into a bad fight when I was 20, drinking, doing a lot of drugs, beat some people up, and served some time to pay for my sentence. The faith community. And when I went in, I was a very negative person. I was a young, violent kid, a lot of emotions that I couldn't control. So now I cry like a little girl now instead of being. So I'll get the anger flipped around here. But so the first book I read when I went to D&E in Lincoln was 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and from there I progressed down a road similar to Mary Kay's, probably over 150 motivational books, positive thinking books. I studied Zen Buddhism for a while, some Chinese medicine and that kind of stuff. I did yoga, Tai Chi, and you know, when I got out of prison, I had gotten an associate's degree, which was difficult to do. Became a certified paralegal. I led self-help groups, taught inmates to read. I tried to make a difference, and I had big dreams. And Pamela had seen Mary Kay speak at State Farm and just glowed about her. And so I went to Mahoney State Park, and when asked what my dream was, you know, and I had different ideas and different plans than I do now, but I mentioned Ivy League College, where my girlfriend at the time was going, and I didn't feel good about myself. I had 4.5 more years to do while on parole, even, you know, having been released on good behavior. And it's not like anybody in prison says the words to you, hey, way to go, Ryan, way to not get in that fight, way to run a multicultural, you know, way to have a criminal justice symposium, you know, good job, buddy. You know, and I got out, and Mary Kay was the first motivational speaker that I'd seen in person, the first. You know, when I called Mary Kay for the first time in what, in person speaking on the phone in 2.5, 3 years, Megan was sitting next to me in the car, and just the love and the, you know, the positivity that she has and that the trainers have and the people that go through this program have and commit to, it's a way of life. You know, before I even knew who Mary Kay was, I was doing the gratefulness things because I was waking up in an 8x12 with a murderer sleeping underneath me that I almost could have been, you know, and trying to make every day the best day I could. The 8 Ways to Great literally encompass every principle that I can think of for healing, becoming a better person, and being successful, whatever that means, relationships, wealth, recognition. You can tell that she's read the materials, the Napoleon Hill, the Kiyosaki. You know, you can tell that she lives it and believes it in the attitude day to day. And, you know, I owned a business for 4 years. I started with $20 in my pocket. Mary Kay was a big part of that. She followed my rise to moderate success, and when I got away from those principles, and when I maybe put too much of myself out, or for whatever reason, and I shut that business down, I knew then that I needed to get back in touch with her. A little embarrassed, okay, because I had these big dreams. I tried something that none of my friends and family had ever tried, and I failed. In my mind. But then when you talk to people like Mary Kay or like Megan, and they hold you up and they support you, you know, I think I said in my speech, and I don't remember verbatim, but the rewards of taking a risk far outweigh the lack of results when you don't. I would rather take risks like standing in front of you guys and crying, even though Mary Kay gave me the option not to, then have not done it at all. And I have no cohesion here. In conclusion, Helen, I'm glad to be here and to be a part of this group again. What she's doing and what you guys are doing is phenomenal. If you can catch kids at 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, you can make an enormous difference, I'm sure, in dropout rates, grades. You know, I'm a very left brain thinker, but I think the difference that you guys can make, that we can make in society and in the youth is astronomical. That's